it would be a whole new second profile. So what I'm suggesting for the moment is that, and the reason for this is because you've got a lot set up attached to that reinforces that whole porn sort of approach that you've got now, like the sex tapes, stuff like that. We can't create a sweet young uni girl style profile, and we'll revisit your questions about authenticity in a moment, and also have that stuff connected to it, because it's two completely different things. It'd be like me saying I'm an Italian restaurant, and then you go to my Instagram and there's photos of Mexican food. It's like,
Yeah, that's what
well,
I was meaning. I was like, bro, I can't say that I'm a uni student. There's pictures of me sucking dick on Twitter.
yeah, you can't do that on. But if you had a completely different profile with a different name and your face partially blurred and you looked different because the style is different, you could have two profiles. And there are plenty of working girls, I tell you now, who do, who have two completely different profiles for different reasons. If they're working with me, it's often because we're going in a different direction. And I don't like to remove what is currently working, albeit with issues, until we get the new thing up and you're happy and comfortable with it. And the reality is to try and rebrand in the direction that I'm suggesting to solve the client quality problem is just going to be too difficult to do with all of that material. So that's why I suggest you keep it and start something completely new. You have the benefit of having both choices. Even when you're ready to shut down, you can do it at that time.
Um, I don't know. I don't know how to feel about it, to be completely honest. Because like I don't know. I guess I don't like too many things. Like I like just to stick to one consistent branding. Like
Mm.
I feel like I'd rather just change. I know you probably asked so that you can monitor like what clients come from what profile, but personally, I'd prefer just to keep and change the whole branding of it.
Is that because you're attached to the name, or is it because you don't want to have multiple profiles? And there's no right or wrong to this. At the end of the day, like, I'm here to support what you want to do, but
I
I
don't
also
even
want
like
to.
the name too much, to be completely honest. It's just that this is the first time I've changed my name, and like I'm just so like this is the one I've had for like the longest, and I just I don't want to change it again. And um like uh yeah, I don't know. I guess it is a bit of the authenticity. I don't have like a clear reason why I don't want to have two profiles with two different names. Clearly, I just there's just I don't want to say yes and then like have issue with it later on, because like there's like a resistance for me to change it right now.
Okay. And we don't need to solve everything on this call by any means. And there's multiple ways for us to approach this. So it's important that we take the time to do it, like, ultimately in a way that you're comfortable with, but that also is going to actually give us the result that we're looking for with this quality of clients, right?
Yeah. Or yeah, I guess like it's whatever that will help.
Yeah. Coming back to the result, if we want to get a different quality client, we need to sell a different experience.
Yeah, no, I got that much. I just didn't feel like I did briefly watch a video on like the two profiles, and I didn't even thought it would apply to me, to be completely honest. I'd rather just have one profile and change the branding. That's what I want to do. But again, you're the expert, and yeah.
I think we're kind of talking about the same thing. It's just which way we come at it. The
I
only
prefer to, yeah,
reason,
I prefer to just fuck making a new profile and just fix this one.
okay,
Yeah.
just so you know, we're kind of like making a new profile anyway. Like what we would be doing, except that maybe the number is the same, sure. The
I,
only
I,
reason that I suggest two profiles, just let me kind of like explain this.
No, I think okay, you want me to explain it because I actually feel like wait, I think I know where you're getting at.
Okay, sure, go for it.
I feel like you were trying to phrase it as, oh no, it's okay, we don't need to get rid of because you thought I'd be attached to her. I'm like, no, fuck it. Just even if we don't have my like beacons link on the new on like updating this profile, then I'm okay with it because I just want to sell an escorting service. Am I
Um,
kind of right?
no, not quite. The
That's all
reason
right.
the reason I suggest having a second one is so that as we go through doing the rebrand, you have your well, as consistent as you're used to, established form of income sitting there, still coming in. And then as we create and build up the new profile, you have additional income without being stressed about having lost your current profile. And also because of all the effort that you'd put into your OnlyFans, etc., which I don't think being connected to a rebrand is going to make sense in trying to get the quality of clients that we are. So literally leaving as it is, what we're essentially doing is basically starting a new profile anyway, like from a client branding perspective, because it's going to have different photos, it's going to have a different bio, everything. The name isn't really that big of a deal, but we're basically creating something entirely new as it is, but keeping your current income stream is typically what I recommend people do when we're going through a change like this. It's just so that it gives you financial security. And then anything that we do on the new profile is extra until you decide that you don't want to or need to have both. And then you just shut down. That's the perspective that I'm coming from, not really an emotional attachment, although I thought that you might want to keep your OnlyFans and stuff because it is making you
I
some
do
form
want
of
to keep
money.
it. Yeah.
Yeah, well but the new profile probably wouldn't be connected to the OnlyFans. And I imagine that some of the way that you build the OnlyFans is through the escorting. So I didn't want to lose that element of building the OnlyFans for you as well. They're kind of like two
I do
separate
feel, but
things.
both are very. I do feel like how I present myself on OnlyFans is very different to how I present myself in bookings.
Okay.
Yeah. Um.
Can I say this? I don't think whether we have two profiles or not kind of matters at the moment because what we actually have to go and do is talk about getting new photos and that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
So we
I
can
feel
do
like.
that. And
Yeah.
then at that point, when we have that stuff ready, you can make a decision and I'll support you either way because at the end of the day, like it really doesn't impact me. You can make the decision of whether we're changing everything on the profiles that you have, and then you can decide what you want to do with your OnlyFans, or you can decide at that stage, you know what, I'll just keep it separate for now and have both. It's really fine, whatever you're comfortable with. It's more what's the rebrand going to be that's important for the moment.
Yeah, I think I was going to say that as well. We can kind of whatever we do with this current profile, it doesn't really matter. It just depends. Yeah, I was going to leave it as well because
Okay.
we're unsure, so there's no use talking about it.
Okay. So then now let's talk about that authenticity factor because,
Yeah.
yeah, the approach that I'm suggesting may not be completely as you are right now. And if you're uncomfortable with that, we need to talk about it. And I can give you my thoughts on it. And certainly other people who've had the same concern, we can talk about that. And because I think that's probably the most important thing. If you're kind of uncomfortable with the pitch, then that's what we need to get through.
Well, I'm not studying, and I don't think I'm gonna like. I might go back to studying, but not anytime soon, you know. And I don't know. Uh, I don't think I can lie to a client to be completely honest, because then if they ask what I'm studying, like I can have a good cover story and stuff, but that I'm just not like that, I guess. Like because when I started with stripping, and when I started, I tried to like play off that I was in uni and stuff like that, and then just got to because then I'd ask about it, and then it just got to a point where I was like, yeah, I'm a full-time stripper, and how they thought of me after that didn't matter because then I don't know.
Okay. So
Yeah.
we remove specifically saying you're a uni student.
Yeah,
Let me
like
talk you
let's
through.
say that I'm a uni student, I guess. I guess my concern, like that's easy just to say, oh, I do this full time, or well, say whatever. They don't really need to know what I do outside of this. Um, but I just don't want them to think I'm like, saving up, like their money is going to like, a good, like, to a good law school or something like that. And then they get disappointed, that it's just going to my hair extensions or something.
I think you probably overestimate how much clients think about that aspect. The reason this story, it doesn't need to be uni student specifically, but we're trying to build a picture of a young, sweet girl, and the fantasy that clients often have around that will include schoolgirl, blah, blah, but that doesn't really matter. The reason we want to push it into that direction is so that we get away from the porny, like young teen that I'm going to fuck. Like, that's clearly not what we want to attract
No.
anymore. But I mean, we can attract that. And I personally have no issue with any direction we go in. But the quality of the client you get is going to be thinking that way. If we want to get a quality of client who respects you, treats you well in the room, the client that's going to come, and also keeping in mind your size and how you look, we can't ignore that. We need to use it in the marketing, but in a way that attracts somebody who's going to behave better when they're with you.
Yeah,
And
that's why I put in the front of my name, so like they know that I'm small, but it hasn't really done anything.
yeah, because they're more focused on the visuals that they're seeing. Like, the name is only a very small part of it. The visual that we need to get, and there would need to be an element of you acting in a way that supports the visual, is if we want to get a better quality client, but keeping in mind your age, etc., pushing into that sweet young, ultimately it is going to be a little bit GFE
Yeah,
area. And
that was
then,
my concern, I guess.
yeah, and then behaving that way, having that persona in the room doesn't mean you have to change everything about yourself. We just have to keep in mind what sort of experience is the client coming for. If we're going to put that out there, then that's the sort of thing that they're going to expect in the room. So, yeah, opening the door and being dressed a certain way, being a little bit lovey and adoring and more sweetish, as opposed to being more porny, which is what they would have expected before. That the reality is, if we want to get a different client, we have to
Oh,
do
I
something
can be
different.
horny in the room though. Like I'm really like I think I give good dirty talk. I feel like I'm good at talking, as you would tell. You can tell that because I always talk over you.
So, what I think maybe to go away and think about, don't need to decide on this call,
Mm.
is I get the authenticity concern. I do. But the reality is, if we want a different result, we have to do something different. And when we're with a client, the client, I tell you now, is not there to be with you personally. They're there to have an experience that they want to live out. Now, only we can decide what we're comfortable with doing and not doing. But of course, if they step in the room, we don't have to be our 100% complete selves, because it'd be like if you were having dinner, right? If you go to a restaurant and you're trying to sell food to people coming to eat, it's not always about necessarily what you want to serve. It's about, well, what is the customer going to buy if we want to have a successful restaurant? And
Oh no, and I get
sometimes,
that. Like I know they're not here for insert my real name. And like I need to put on a persona and leave like personal stuff aside. That's not what I'm fussed about. I guess it's I don't know what yeah. Yeah, I guess I just don't want to misconstrue anyone. Like, I don't want them to like expect one thing and then like turn up and I'm a different thing. But it might
mm,
also be coming from stripping because, like, in the strip club, like they want to like when they're parting with their money, like it's like they really care about where that money is going to. Like, I would constantly get comments like, oh, I hope this isn't going to drugs, or like, oh, I'm glad this is going to uni, and so like the guys were more likely to like book woman who seemed like they had more like of a future, and I don't know if that's different in escorting or not.
Regardless of what they want, we want to focus on making sure that you get a good quality result. I'd say that that's reflective of the stigma that they have about working girls.
Oh yeah, definitely. Like I'm not saying it's right. It's just a reality, as you know.
Yeah, yeah, okay. All right. Look, I think let's leave it here and maybe we end on and we schedule a call tomorrow or the next day.
Okay.
Just let me summarize for a second, if you don't mind. I really get and hear your concerns about the authenticity. I do. I really do. However, I really also want to get you a different result and get you a different quality of client. And I think in my experience, but that's not everything, right? This is just the experience that I have. It doesn't mean that it's right. When working with younger people and a younger look, and I came into the industry at 18 as well, and I looked super young. Like I looked like 15, 16, not 12, but
yeah,
I
you
looked
had
15,
braces, you
16.
said.
Yeah, I did.
Yeah.
I had braces and all the stuff that you're talking about now, I also experienced. The only difference was initially I was in a parlor. So I wasn't like, didn't have videos and stuff like that.
I was in a parlor briefly, but yeah, no, I get what you mean.
Okay. So all I think I want you to go away and think about is there a version to get a different result with the clients of sweet young GFE style that you can get comfortable with, keeping in mind that we're going to have to change something. So we're going to need to change something in the photos. And obviously, if we do that, a shift in how you come across in the room is going to be important to back that up. It doesn't mean you have to be totally different, but can you amplify one aspect of your personality, which is sweet, bubbly blonde that you spoke about, and steering away from the as porny sort of approach for the sake of getting a better quality client? And is there a version of that that works for you? Doesn't have to say uni student, you don't have to lie and say that you are at uni, but we also need to do something different enough so that we start getting clients that are thinking a different way. And the limits of what you're comfortable with are totally up to you. If you can think about what they are and tell me, I will do my best and give you my honest feedback on how well I think that that will work and what we do to like make that as successful as possible in attracting a different clientele. How does that sound?
Yeah, I'm happy to do that.
Okay. So what we want to think about, this is the sort of stuff that's going to be important, is what we're wearing and how we look in the photos. The closer we are to more of that like sweet student-ish sort of girl. And then when you meet them in the room, having a persona that feels along those lines. That's really the two things that we're talking about here, is the look and then how you come across in the room. Like, for example, there are lots of different aspects of my personality. In fact, I've got a lot of brothers. When I'm with them, I swear I'm doing this, like I'm playing football with them. I'm doing like really boyish stuff.
Yeah,
But then I
riding
can,
motorcycles.
yeah, exactly. But then when I'm with female friends, I can be like really more emotional and more like what's happening with your boyfriend. Then when I'm in business, I have a completely different sort of approach there. But they're all me. It's just that when I'm in a particular situation, I am tuned into what the appropriate behaviors are, but still genuinely me in that situation. So when I'm
Well,
here
yeah,
with
I feel like
you,
everyone's like that. Like, I have lots of people say that to me, and they're like, I think I have borderline personality disorder. I'm like, bro, everyone does that. You don't have a personality disorder. You're just different with different people because there's a different context, and like, you got to be appropriate for the person you're talking to, you know?
yeah, and that's really what I'm talking about here. I work with a lot of Americans, and there's all this gender identity and stuff happening there, and there's a lot of
Yeah, oh my God, I
emphasis.
feel so sorry for you, girl. The amount of escorts that you're like, yeah, but like, I'm not actually a female, so I can't do this. I'm not. It must be a nightmare. No, I don't think we'll have an issue with that because I'm very feminine. Like I like to sell myself as very feminine. I am very feminine, so it'll be very easy to sell myself that way. But you're trying to say like with your brothers you can be more boy and like shit like that. But in the room you're not. In the room you try to be, the wife that they don't have who dresses up like they did when they were young and shit.
Yeah, exactly. Like that authenticity, I hear a lot from people like worrying that, oh, that's not really authentically me. And my response to that is the reality is we all have different aspects of our personality. Can we just hone in on one and amplify that in particular when you're with clients to serve you in getting better clients and making more money? That's it. It's not like you're being something that's totally not you. We're just going to connect with a more specific part of your personality for the sake of the outcome that we're trying to make. If there's specific stuff that you don't want to do, like say you're at uni, when you're not at uni, no problem. But can we still act along the lines of what they're expecting, which is going to be young, sweet, bubbly, a little bit innocent when they think about a uni student, which is ultimately going to be part of the fantasy because of your age and how you look. Like we can't ignore that, or you're going to keep having clients rock up, see you kind of get freaked out that you're so young. Better that we have clients coming who are into that young thing, and then we act a certain way in the room that supports that experience, which is going to be less porny, more like GFE, just while you're with them.
Uh yeah, yeah, I think that's kind of what I wanted, to be completely honest. I didn't really
Okay.
want to try to sell myself as like this sexual thing. I think I was just looking at all the other escorts and that's all what they were doing. So I was like, oh, I've got to do that too then.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, cool. Sounds like we're on the same page. We're going to need you photos, and there are two ways to do this. We do a selfie shoot where I give you instructions on how to get as good quality photos as possible yourself, or we do a professional shoot. There are different ranges of price points of photographers. There's one in I would probably recommend for you who isn't that pricey. Typically, the result with a photographer is better, but of course, it requires financial outlay.
Um, well, I've been a bit nervous to do a professional shoot because, like, I don't know, I don't think the reason's relevant. So I've been a bit nervous to do a professional shoot right now, but I don't know if that's just me putting it off or if, I, yeah, I don't know if that's just me putting it off or not. But I would like to do a professional shoot eventually. I just don't feel ready right now. So maybe we should just start with the selfie shoot and then we can look at doing a professional shoot if this rebrand works.
Okay, no problem. All right, that's cool. So what we're going to do then is I'm going to send you a couple things, which I won't go through now, but which have come up while we've been talking that I think will be of help. So you can watch those videos. And then I'm going to go away and put together my initial concept for the profile idea that we've spoken about today
Yeah.
and send it to you. And then we're going to talk about it. So I kind of go one step at a time to make sure that we're on the same page at each step.
Okay. Well, I'm getting hair extensions tomorrow actually. Do you recommend that I do the selfies after I get my hair done?
Yeah, so definitely no rush. I need to do the plan for you. We need to get the outfits together. I'm going to give you specific instructions on how to do the shoot.
If you want to learn more escorting tips, just click the link below this video.